Hey, what's up everyone? All right, so this is pretty cool. I actually have a lot to share with you guys, but I'm gonna try to break these into different topics, different videos for different topics. So for this particular topic this is my new place in Madeira, Portugal. Pretty sweet. I'll give you guys a tour later. Or actually, I'm about to post something on my Instagram later if you guys want to see my spot there. Anyway, so more details on business health and all that stuff in another video later. But quick summary is that, we're still growing. We're still doing really well. Stuff's always like, it's never like this. It's, but we do see a growth trajectory despite that kind of like wavy sign, ups and downs and stuff like that. So that means we need to get ready for our next perk. And I'll work with Derek to define an actual target for it. But basically, the perks in general are meant to steer our culture towards holistic well-being and productivity, which productivity is actually, I'm viewing that as an element of holistic well-being, because human beings, when they don't feel productive, they feel unfulfilled, and unfulfilled human beings feel unhappy. So really that's all part of it. It just nicely coincides with the more productive we are, the more value we create, the more profitable we are, the more resources we have, the more cool ass shit that we can create and grow even more and build our lifestyles even more and all those wonderful things. But anyway, so one of the things that I identified that really affects our mental health is when we have these remote jobs. I know not everyone on the team has remote work, I team and warehouse team. I'll talk to you guys directly here in a second. But for everyone else that has a remote lifestyle, we crave the remote lifestyle. It's something that people strive for. It's something that our friends and families are jealous of when we have it and all these wonderful things. But when we have the remote life, we kind of don't really know what to do with it. We think we know what we want because we're a little bit short-sighted human beings. We chase dopamine, we chase serotonin, we chase these happy chemicals. But what ends up happening is sometimes we make ourselves sick by chasing those things. Or we grow complacent or apathetic and all this kind of stuff. So one of those things that ends up happening to a lot of remote workers is we don't socialize enough, or we don't leave our space enough, our apartments, our homes, whatever. We don't get out. And I'm an introvert. I can stay in a tiny space, like this tiny little studio apartment I'm in, for quite a long time. I can even be productive and be happy and all that stuff. But over time, something starts getting to me. And I don't even necessarily identify it as not being social or not getting out, these kinds of things. But my wiser, smarter core self knows that's what's going on. So on the outer layer, it doesn't necessarily feel like that's what's going on, but it's at the very least a huge contribution to it. And so that's something that I'm certain affects all humans. Different levels. The more introverted we are, the more, we can stay in like one little tiny spot by ourselves or whatever with our families for a longer period of time, but eventually everyone is affected. So something that really helps me out is going to a co-working space. I don't do it every day, especially given my nomad lifestyle. It's not even available every day. But basically, I get a certain type of energy when I'm at a co-working space. It's that high energy of people really, just being productive and getting stuff done. And that you feel that, and then it makes you want to get stuff done. So I go to co-working spaces whenever I'm trying to clear out notifications, which, as you guys have probably come to figure out, I'm getting more and more buried in notifications. I'm getting less and less responsive because I'm working on our cultural development. I'm working on radiating what's going on in NOVAEO to the public. So I'm creating all kinds of content and stuff like that, and lots of bigger picture vision, bigger picture strategy. So I'm less involved in the day-to-day, but when I need to get back into the day-to-day, that's when it's really good for me to get into a co-working space. So anyway, we're going to open up some conversation about what this next perk ought to be. But if it's not the next one, it's going to be within the not too distant future, and that is a stipend for co-working spaces. So I'm creating this video so that you guys understand what that's about. So if you are someone that is like, oh, I don't like going to co-working spaces, I don't want this perk, go a little bit deeper inside yourself and figure out not what you on the surface want to do. On the surface, you might just want to like stay in bed and watch Netflix all day. It's like that's one of our most common forms of dopamine that we get. But I know that you know that that's not what you ought to do. So that sense that tells you what you ought to do, not that sense that tells you what you want to do. The sense of yourself, that piece of yourself that tells you what you ought to do. Tap into that and fill out this really awesome survey or questionnaire that LJ created. LJ, props to you. You made it. I just went through it. It looks pretty fun. You threw the memes and GIFs in there and everything. That's really cool. I like that you did that. That makes all this kind of stuff a lot more fun. Anyway, so for everyone else, go through that. Be super honest with yourself. Be super honest in what you put in there. I know that a lot of the remote workers on the team are like basically work from home parents. So the whole purpose of having a work from home job is so that you can also be a parent simultaneously. I understand that. So if you have a solution to how you can still get out of the house for a little bit, set up a laptop, put that in the questionnaire, if that's your scenario. In fact, I've just been kind of brainstorming, but in the a little bit more distant future, a perk that I'd like to offer to those folks is finding support for parenting. Whatever kinds of things can free up your time as a parent, whether it's having like, someone to cook, someone to clean, or even like nannying or that kind of stuff. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about now is getting out of the house, being around people that are in a work energy, that are in a productive energy. So yeah, everyone let us know. Now for warehouse team and I team. Warehouse team, always appreciate you guys showing up every day. You guys have shift work. That's just the way the warehouse has to run. There's really no way around that, obviously. So we really appreciate that. We'll work with Tom to try to figure out something that's obviously not the same as a co-working stipend, but something else that we can build into this to offer you guys at the same time as a co-working stipend, if that's what we do next. And for the I team, I know I've said this in a previous video, we really appreciate you as well going to an office. Working remotely, it's a wonderful culture and it's great, but it creates a lot of inconsistency, lack of dependability, lack of connection. There's a lot of things that it creates, and that's a big part of what I've been working on these past couple months, is trying to conceptualize, okay, well, how can we solve, like, remote work is the future. We want everyone to have as much freedom as possible, but there are issues with this culture, this structure, this dynamic going 100% into it. So I team, you guys are giving us a sense of stability. Not just because you're working in an office, but actually even just Indian professional culture in general it's very dependable. So I'm actually going to do some public videos talking on culture coming from different countries and that kind of stuff, and how that relates to team building. Obviously, if you come from a different country, you obviously have some effect of the culture of that country, but every individual has a unique personality. We don't stereotype anyone or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'll talk about that in another video. So I'm just speaking very generically to you guys, the I team right now, saying that we're really grateful for you going to an office. Abby, thank you so much for running not one but two offices. It's very valuable, especially at this point in time. So for you guys, I team, I'll work with Abby directly to figure out what would be a really cool perk that we can offer you guys. I have some ideas, but I want to run those ideas by Abby directly. I don't want to communicate those here because yeah, I think Abby's gonna have the best ideas. So I'm just gonna throw some ideas at him, and then Abby will definitely be able to make a better decision than I would be able to make with regards to how we can offer you guys a relatable perk. Okay? Ha! Not 40 minutes. Getting better at this, huh? All right, guys. Thanks for listening.